Noise. It's not an issue out here. Coyotes and roadrunners don't seem to mind. But when you get into areas inhabited by human beings, roadway noise is an issue. It can affect the quality of life of people living near freeways or driving on them. In fact, the Federal Environmental Protection Agency has declared high noise levels a form of pollution. Until recently, costly and unsightly sound walls have been the federal and state policy to address roadway noise. Noise at the source, pavement surfaces interacting with tires, has been ignored. States have typically stayed with hard concrete surfaces and costly sound walls, trying to achieve the maximum decibels allowed by the EPA and the FHWA. The Arizona Department of Transportation and the former governor faced the noise problem and found a solution in an environmentally sound paving material it had been using for years. As her last official act in office, Arizona Governor Jane D. Hull announced a $34 million plan to pave 115 miles of concrete urban freeways with asphalt rubber. Why was this decision made? It happened after the Arizona Department of Transportation led a design-build contract to Granite Sunt construction companies to widen and resurface the aging concrete on the US 60, which travels through heavily populated areas in the Phoenix metropolitan area. The resurfacing was a 1-inch asphalt rubber open-graded friction course. The reaction of the neighboring residents and the motorists to the smooth, quiet new surface was immediate and vocal. Calls flooded the radio talk shows. Letters poured into the newspapers, all clamoring for more of this great pavement. Mayors of cities near the new freeway took notice. Elected officials and citizens throughout the entire metro area demanded asphalt rubber resurfacing in their areas. Homeowners located near freeways lost as much as $90,000 in property values due to the excessive noise. As a result, groups like Citizens Against Noise were formed. And the lobbying on the quality of life issue took wings. It reached the highest levels of the Arizona Department of Transportation and the governor's office. They responded, and the homeowners and motorists were given the new Quiet Pavement program to address the problem.
But our community has dramatically improved in terms of livability, as well as our property values have been restored to a great degree. They really took a beating. And we're very pleased with the result, and even people who come to visit comment on the difference in the sound levels on the 101 when they're coming north out of the airport and the like.
When we bought the house, we back up right up to the 101, so the freeway noise was pretty intense. When we heard about the noise reduction, the rubberized asphalt, the noise wall issues that were going on in the community, we participated in the group here, Citizens Against Noise, and got involved in that issue. I can tell you that when we moved in, you had to shout in the backyard because the noise from the concrete off the freeway was that intense. Since they put in the rubberized asphalt, my guess is you probably reduced the noise by at least 3/4. So you can now carry on a conversation in our backyard. We back up right up to the 101. There's a pathway behind our property, so we're probably about 100 yards from the freeway, from the back of our property. But the rubberized asphalt has been really a great boon to this community, and I think it'll be a boon to the entire valley, because anybody who lives near a freeway is going to have their quality of life improved and noise levels reduced in their yards significantly. To us, it's not just a level on a dB meter. It really impacts our ability to use and enjoy our property.
We almost couldn't have visitors in the backyard because it was so noisy that you couldn't hear each other speak. You literally did have to yell if you were only a few feet away because it was so loud. And the rubberized asphalt has made such a difference. We can now use our backyard and enjoy it and hear the birds singing. You couldn't hear the birds, you couldn't hear the rustle in the trees. It was just this horrible drone, and with occasional explosive noises from the freeway that made it very uncomfortable.
This is just an example, a cutaway of the pavement. That's the combination of the concrete and the Quiet Pavement open graded friction course with asphalt rubber. As you can see, it's about 1 inch thick. Typically the concrete's about 10 to 12 inches thick, and you can see that the particles, the aggregate particles, are pretty small, about 3/8 of an inch in diameter. Very illustrative of what we have on our freeway system today.
These open-graded hot mixes were originally developed in 1975, but they'd only been used primarily on asphalt concrete pavements until 1988. In 1988, there was a 2-mile section placed on Interstate 19 south of Tucson. One of the things that came out of that project, and was a very, very strong notation, was that there was a very significant reduction in traffic noise. So that was, we had the early tests made then by Western Technologies, which indicated the noise reduction. It might be noted that that project we put down in 1988 in Tucson, when inspected in the year 2000, had experienced zero maintenance dollars to take care of the surface and no rideability. Its noise reduction was still high and the skid resistance was still high. Subsequently, 2 years later, a portion of this was overlaid. There, I understand there's still a half-mile section which is now 16 years old and which is still has received no significant maintenance. This performance has been extraordinary.
The success of the Arizona Quiet Pavements program attracted interest all across the country. The Federal Highway Administration agreed to enter into a partnership with the Arizona DOT and Caltrans of California to conduct a study of pavement surfaces as a noise mitigation strategy. Now, a quiet pavement pilot program is in progress. Not only did the Arizona program capture the attention of the federal people, large associations like the National Asphalt Pavement Association, or NAPA, took notice. In January 2004, they came to see for themselves. During their annual conference in Phoenix, Arizona, NAPA joined the Rubber Pavements Association and the Arizona Department of Transportation in a quiet pavement tour. They took asphalt contractors from all across the nation to see and hear the difference a 1-inch overlay of asphalt rubber makes when used over noisy concrete.
What we're trying to do is give you a sense of how noisy it is here, because the next site we're going to has the rubber on it. You took this meter, or something very much like it, you put it next to the tire over there and the concrete, in other words, right down here. There was a tire here going down the freeway. That reading would be over 100. I think you could all tell it was pretty noisy at that last site. I had to almost yell to get my voice to go 3 or 4 feet. So you can imagine what people have to put up with who live next to the freeway day after day. You'll see that when we go on to the open graded friction course, where it's only 1 inch of overlay on top of this, not only will it be a little quieter, it will also be much smoother riding. The next stop we're going to make is going to be next to the section we built last year. I mean, it's about a year old. It's around 90th Street. We should be able to get pretty close, be able to get up to the wall that actually overlooks the frontage road and the freeway. And these people here now are very pleased, you know, they're very, very pleased. And we're much closer here than we were at the other location. And yet it is really much quieter here. Noticeably quieter in every way. Huge, huge difference.
But there are other benefits to asphalt rubber overlays other than noise reduction. The state of Texas has dramatically demonstrated a very important benefit. In San Antonio, Texas, an area with a fair amount of rain, a section of IH-35 had become a major safety and performance concern to state engineers. The freeway was a 20-year-old concrete surface which had lost its rideability and become slick over the years. Due to the soft aggregate, diamond grinding was not a feasible long-term solution. The major injury accidents caused by vision-impairing spray and skidding during rain were reaching an unacceptable level. Dale Rand, the state bituminous engineer, worked closely with the Texas Department of Transportation's local engineering staff to find a material that would prevent the rainwater from accumulating on the surface and provide a smoother, skid-resistant pavement. He suggested that they use an asphalt rubber permeable friction course similar to the Arizona open graded mixes.
We had used and seen what Arizona was doing with their open graded mixes with the asphalt rubber, and the main reason that we were interested in doing something to this pavement was that it was a real safety concern. This was known really as just having a high number of wet weather accidents. It was rough, it was loud, it was unsafe, and I jokingly say it's kind of your worst nightmare. It's a problem that won't go away. It was durable. It was a problem that was durable, so it was going to be here unless we did something else about it. So there's a lot of talk about noise, I guess, nationally, and a lot of meetings I go to, I hear a lot of people talking about noise. But one thing I like to point out is that safety trumps all of these other trumps noise every time. If you have people dying on your highways, then that gets your attention. Yes, we want our roads to be comfortable and quiet, but mainly we want to be able to get from point A to point B without us or our loved ones losing their lives.
Gary Fitz, the senior field engineer for the Asphalt Institute in San Antonio, had a ringside seat in watching the accidents on Interstate 35. His office is adjacent to the project. Gary's interest led him to do a comparison of the accidents on the old concrete pavement for 1 year before the new asphalt rubber surface was placed. He then compared the number occurring in the year after resurfacing.
One thing that we noticed on this project before the overlay was ever placed, and the original pavement here was a continuously reinforced concrete pavement, but what we noticed on it before the overlay was placed was during wet weather conditions was an unusual number of what the San Antonio Police Department refers to as major accidents, in other words, injury accidents. After the surface was placed, we've seen a dramatic reduction in the number of major accidents. Under wet weather conditions, we've reduced it by more than half. Likewise, overall conditions, it's reduced it by more than half.
While the Texas Department of Transportation accomplished their goal of improving the safety of the pavement, they got a secondary benefit, a huge reduction in roadway noise.
Most of the comments I got back from the district after the overlay was that they were impressed with just how quiet the pavement was. One of the comments that I got was that somebody was listening to the radio call-in talk show, and they said that somebody had called in and said that they were driving on this particular pavement, and when they drove off the concrete onto the asphalt rubber PFC, they thought they drove off a cliff because it got so quiet. You know, it startled them, literally startled them that it was that quiet.
Through the work of Arizona and Texas state highway engineers, the taxpayers are benefiting in many ways through safer, smoother, and quieter roadways. The asphalt rubber phenomenon is spreading. Winter visitors to the state of Arizona are driving the quiet pavements and taking the message home to their agencies. Citizen groups are forming against sound walls. They want to stop noise at its source, the pavement's surface. They want the smooth and quiet ride they experienced in Arizona. With the public support for this amazing rubber pavement, we can look forward to a future where a higher percentage of our nation's scrap tires are recycled into quiet and long-lasting roads. Not only does asphalt rubber help the environment, but residents living near the freeways can enjoy their surroundings now and the quality of life. Asphalt rubber. The quiet in the road is spreading. Listen for it.